At some point, he needs to look at the situation and say, this Robbie Anderson, who has played with this collection of quarterbacks who are not nearly as good as I am, doesn't want anything to do with me and is willing to tell the whole world that. In a league where they're moving heaven and earth to get quarterbacks, nobody wants me. He needs to, I think, recognize this is like going back to the days when he was a walk-on and start all over again. I think that's what Orlovsky is saying. What do you think, Neek?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Robbie Anderson didn't send that tweet out because Baker Mayfield's shoulder is chipless. He sent that tweet out because he doesn't want to play with Baker Mayfield. And I don't think it's because Baker has lost this walk-on attitude. It's because he doesn't think he's good or because he doesn't want to hang out with him in the locker room. I can't imagine that it's because he doesn't think he's good because, as we pointed out, he's better than every quarterback that Robbie Anderson has ever played with. So I'm making a bit of an assumption and a leap here that it's not about Baker's talent as much as it's about Baker's personality, because look at that list. I don't think Robbie Anderson is saying, oh, no, you're not good enough to join this class. There's something else to that because players normally don't send out things like that about potential players. And it's not as if they won't connect, like it's a quarterback to receiver. So that's all I'm saying is that it seems like it's more than just his play.
Go ahead, Danny.
I think that's fair, Dom. Listen, Robbie Anderson's a really good player, but like, Robbie, what are your other options, champ? Other than drafting Malik Willis at number 6, then you're going to be you don't like playing with Sam Darnold. You don't want to play with Baker Mayfield. Here's my point in regards to Baker Mayfield. I think that Baker Mayfield, we never heard any conversation about Baker Mayfield not being liked in the locker room, certainly coming out of the draft. Then he was taken 1. Then he won the city by storm. And now all of a sudden that the play has fallen, we hear more conversations about guys not wanting to play with Baker Mayfield. The reality is this. There is not only you're great at quarterback or you stink at quarterback. There are some quarterbacks that are just good to really good players, and there's still a place for them in the NFL. And if you're the Carolina Panthers and you go, hey, we either have Sam Darnold and somebody else or Baker Mayfield, you're going to look smart as a general manager. If you take a 6th-round pick to go get Baker Mayfield, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are you going to take Baker Mayfield as your future or Kyle Trask as your future? It's not even close.
Go ahead, Kmart.
So I agree. Big Baker fan over here, right? But let's not forget what happened last season. He lost that locker room during the Odell Beckham drama. So that, like, let's not act like Baker, everybody loves Baker. That locker room internally, there were guys that felt like Odell was the one we should keep. So the idea that Baker is beloved, that's just not true. Now, he has lost some of that chip. He does act entitled, but Baker is a very good quarterback. And unfortunately for him, he has taken this to be me against the Browns. The Browns have wronged me. If Baker just takes a step back, realizes the landscape, that I have to have a Mariota, Ryan Tannehill sort of rebirth in the NFL.
Correct.
I need to be quiet, just get a job, compete, and own it. I think he'll be very good. But Baker has to understand how he is viewed outside of in the NFL circles.
Go ahead, Danny, quickly.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, not the beloved thing, but Baker Mayfield's at his best when it's me versus everybody else.
Yes.
When how he is wired. And last year, I think what happens is he gets hurt early on and he wants to play because he's tough or whatnot. And then the play starts to diminish. In his own words, he started to doubt himself. And then all of a sudden it becomes like, well, you're doubting me and you're doubting me. Now I'm doubting myself. I got your dad telling me that I stink on social media, whether that was accurate or not. And I think the reality is this: when he's at his absolute best, number 1 pick, Baker Mayfield is constantly trying to prove himself on a daily basis. I think that's where he is going to get back quickly over the summer. And that's my point. If you're an NFL organization, Seattle, Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa Bay, if you get that version of Baker Mayfield and he can be that guy consistently, you've got a top 15 to 17 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, Nick, put a ribbon on it. Go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you want that. Baker at his very best is top 15 to 17, middle of the league. The issue is at the end of this year, he is going to be up for a contract. If he is middle of the league average, you're going to be forced to pay him starting quarterback money. And I'm not sure that any team wants to be in a situation where at the end of this year, you have a mediocre quarterback that you might have to give big dollars to. I think that's more important than all this psychoanalyzing that we're doing, honestly, about this chip on the shoulder, not chip on the shoulder. Baker, frankly, is not quite good enough, I think, for teams to want to take that chance.
That's fair, but the psychoanalyzing piece of it is also fun. In the meantime, that remains overwhelmingly the story in the NFL over these next 10 days. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.